I met him at a coffee shop on Tuesday. By Friday morning, he was living in my apartment, using my credit cards and introducing himself to people as me. Hey dreamers, welcome back to Blessings Storyverse, where we don't just tell stories, we live them. Today's tale is full of mystery love twists. So grab your popcorn and let's dive into another chapter. Chapter 1. The night it all began. The night it all began. I wasn't looking for trouble. Just a +1 who wouldn't embarrass me in front of my ex. The invitation had been mocking me from my fridge door for 2 weeks. Daniel and Sophia requested your presence. Blah blah blah. Formal attire. Daniel, my ex. Sophia, the woman he dumped me for. And the venue? A 5-star rooftop hotel with more glass than privacy. I wasn't going to show up alone. That's how you lose twice. Tuesday evening, I ducked into a coffee shop after work to drown my pride in caffeine. That's when I saw him. Tall, tailored coat. Smile that could talk its way past security. He caught me staring and returned it. Not the awkward, are you looking at me? Kind, but the I'm glad you are kind. You look like you just lost a court case, he said when he reached the counter beside me. I have to see my ex on Friday, I replied. At his engagement party, with his fiancée, who used to be my friend. He tilted his head. Sounds like you need a date. A really good one. It was insane, inviting a stranger. But in that moment, between the smell of roasted beans and his easy confidence, it felt like the smartest bad idea I'd ever had. Friday night. He looked better than I remembered. Crisp suit, dark tie, eyes that didn't just look at you. They measured you. When we walked into the rooftop venue, all eyes swung our way. Daniel froze mid-laugh when he saw us, his fiancée's smile twitching. Victory tasted like champagne, but somewhere between the canapes and the second glass, I noticed him slipping away. Not for the bathroom, not to get food, always to speak to someone alone. Older men in dark suits, women with diamond chokers, each conversation ending with a handshake or a subtle exchange I couldn't quite see. I was about to tease him about networking when a man I'd never met brushed past me and whispered, "You have no idea who you just brought here." Before I could respond, he disappeared into the crowd. I scanned the room for my date, but he was gone. My champagne was warm in my hand. The party felt suddenly off. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Leave now. He's not who you think." I turned toward the exit, heart pounding, and stopped dead. Across the room, my date was watching me, smiling ... holding my clutch. Chapter 2. The missing clutch. I didn't realize I'd lost my clutch until I saw it. In his hand. It wasn't subtle. The gold clasp, the black leather, the faint scratch I'd made years ago when I tripped over my own heels at a work gala. It was mine. He was across the room, chatting with a silver-haired man in a navy suit, holding my bag like it belonged to him. I wove through the crowd, my smile still plastered on for the benefit of Daniel and his glittering fiancée. When I reached him, I kept my voice low. "Why do you have my clutch?" He didn't flinch. "You left it on the table." "No, I didn't." His eyes softened, like I was being ridiculous. "You've had a bit to drink. Maybe you forgot." Something about the way he said forgot made my skin prickle. Before I could press further, Daniel's fiancée appeared, all perfect teeth and floral perfume. "Clara," she said warmly. I froze. Clara. The name hung between us, heavy and wrong. I should have corrected her, but my date's hand tightened around my waist, a silent warning, and I found myself smiling instead. When she floated away, I turned back to him. "Who's Clara?" He smiled like we were sharing a private joke. "You are." Later, in the cab home, I kept my bag clutched to my chest. He rode beside me, relaxed, scrolling through his phone. The driver's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. A quick flicker of concern I didn't know how to read. When we reached my building, he insisted on walking me to my door. I was halfway to telling him good night when he stepped inside, like he already lived there. "Where are your bathroom towels?" he asked casually, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Excuse me?" He looked up from his phone. "You invited me in." "No, I didn't." He gave me that soft, patient smile again. "Maybe you forgot." I grabbed my phone to call anyone, but it was gone. In its place, on my kitchen counter, was another phone. The lock screen lit up with a picture of me. Only, it wasn't my face. Chapter 3. The first switch. The phone on my counter wasn't mine, but it unlocked with my birthday. Inside were hundreds of photos, my apartment, my street, my favorite coffee shop, all taken from a distance. All time-stamped days before I met him. There were also texts. Unknown. Flight to Paris confirmed. Use Clara's ID. Unknown. Bank account ready. Keys in the package. My stomach turned. Clara. Again. I called my own number from the strange phone. It rang 3 times before someone answered. A man's voice, calm, too calm. "You shouldn't have seen that." I hung up and shoved the phone into my bag. Ready to run, but my real bag wasn't where I'd left it. Neither were my house keys. The next morning, my bank sent an alert. A $9,800 transfer was made from your account. I called immediately. The woman on the line sounded bored. "You authorized it in person, Mom. At our downtown branch." "No, I didn't." She hesitated. "Ma'am, the teller remembers you. She said you were wearing a red scarf." "I don't own a red scarf." By noon, I'd gotten 3 calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Each time, they asked for Clara. Each time, I told them they had the wrong number. And each time, they insisted they didn't. At 3 p.m., my office manager called. "Listen," she said. "You can't just vanish in the middle of a workday and leave your badge on my desk." "I'm at work right now," I said, pacing my living room. She went quiet. "No, you're not." I opened my apartment door to leave and froze. On the welcome mat sat a small black box. Inside was a red scarf and a note. "You're doing great, Clara." Chapter 4. Police confusion. By the time I reached the precinct, I'd rehearsed my story 100 times. Stranger stole my bag, using my name, draining my account, leaving me creepy gifts. The officer at the front desk listened politely, his pen scratching against a yellow pad. "Name?" he asked. I gave it. He paused, frowning down at the paper. "That's interesting." "What?" "You were here 2 days ago." My pulse skipped. "No, I wasn't." He tapped the desk with his pen. "You filed a missing persons report." "On who?" "On yourself." He took me into a small interview room and pulled up a grainy security video. A woman sat where I was sitting now. Same hair, same build, same faint scar on my jaw from when I fell off my bike at 12. Only, it wasn't me. Her voice on the recording was steady. "My name is Clara." She slid an envelope across the desk to the officer. "Inside is everything you'll need. If I disappear, start there." "Do you still have the envelope?" I asked, my voice tight. The officer nodded slowly and left the room. Minutes ticked by. My leg bounced under the table. Somewhere in the building, a phone rang. Doors opened and closed. Finally, he returned. Empty-handed. "It's gone," he said. "We can't find it." Before I could react, my phone, the strange one, buzzed in my bag. A message lit up the screen. "Check your kitchen drawer." Chapter 5. The Chase. I didn't want to go home, but the message said check your kitchen drawer, and if I ignored it, I'd never sleep again. The cab ride felt longer than usual. My eyes glued to the rearview mirror, half expecting him to appear in the traffic behind me. Inside my apartment, everything looked normal. Too normal. I went straight to the kitchen. My hands trembled as I opened the top drawer. At first, I saw only the usual takeout menus, old receipts, a dead pen or two. Then I noticed the envelope. My name, my real name, was written in neat block letters across the front. Inside were 3 things. 1. A passport with my face and the name Clara Holt. 2. A key card for room 314 at the Roosevelt Hotel. 3. A photo of me sleeping in my own bed. I dropped everything back in the envelope, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The hotel was only 10 minutes away. I told myself I wouldn't go. That going would be exactly what he wanted. But the image of that photo, me, vulnerable, unaware, burned in my mind. 10 minutes later, I was standing in front of room 314. I slid the card. The lock clicked. The room smelled faintly of my perfume. The curtains were drawn. On the desk, a phone buzzed once. I picked it up. His voice came through, low and steady. Stop looking for me. I swallowed hard. Why? What do you want from me? A pause. Then, almost gently, not from you, Clara. From the life you don't remember. The line went dead. And then, from the bathroom, I heard the sound of running water. Chapter 6. Behind the door. The sound of running water grew louder. I glanced around the room. No luggage, no clothes, no signs of anyone living here. Just that phone still warm in my hand. Hello? I called even though I knew how dumb it was. No answer. My palm was slick on the doorknob. I took a deep breath and pushed it open. Steam rushed out. And there, in the middle of the small hotel bathroom, was me. Same face, same hair, same birthmark on the collarbone. She was standing under the shower, eyes closed, as if my appearance didn't bother her in the slightest. When she finally looked at me, her smile was almost kind. "Took you long enough," she said. I froze. My brain felt like it was buffering. "Who are you?" She tilted her head. "Clara Holt, obviously." Then her eyes darkened. "And you're in my room." I backed up. But she stepped out of the shower, completely unfazed by being dripping, wet in a stranger's presence. Except she wasn't a stranger, was she? "You've been living my life," she said, "wearing my name." She tossed a towel over her shoulder. "And now, it's time to trade back." Before I could speak, she reached into the pile of towels and pulled out a gun. Chapter 7. The Trade. The gun wasn't pointed at me yet, but it didn't need to be. Her presence alone was loaded. "I don't understand," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "You don't need to understand," she replied. She tossed the towel aside, water still dripping from her hair. "What you do need is to give me back what's mine." I shook my head. "I don't even know you." "Oh, you do." She stepped closer, the gun now casually in her hand like it belonged there. "You've been pretending to be me for months. My job, my friends, my apartment, that sweet guy next door who thinks you're quirky but lovable." She smirked. "Even my bank account." My stomach dropped. Bank account? Job? I'd earned those. I'd worked for every. She cut me off. "You think they were yours? Cute. You walked right into a life I built. Because I let you." I stared at her. "Why?" Her smile faded. "Because I needed you to take the fall." A loud knock sounded on the door. "Police, open up." Her eyes locked on mine. "You're going to answer that." she whispered. And you're going to smile, like you've got nothing to hide. Chapter 8. Smile for the cops. The knock came again, harder this time. Police, open the door. My heart was slamming against my ribs. Behind me, she pressed the cold barrel of the gun into my back, just enough for me to feel the warning. Breathe, she whispered. Smile. I opened the door. 2 officers stood there, rain dripping off their uniforms, faces unreadable. Ma'am, the taller one said, we have some questions about a recent incident involving identity fraud. I forced a polite laugh. Identity fraud? That's crazy. She's not who she says she is. The words didn't come from me. They came from her. My head snapped around. She had lowered the gun, slipped it into her robe pocket, and was now standing behind me like I was the intruder. She's been living under my name, using my bank accounts, even my personal contacts. I didn't know where else to turn, so I called you. The officer's eyes shifted to me. That's not true. Then maybe you can explain why your fingerprints are all over the crime scene. The second officer said. I froze. Crime scene? The taller officer reached for his cuffs. Miss, you're coming with us. From the corner of my eye, I saw her smirk. The kind of smirk that said she'd already won. Chapter 9. The wrong cell. The cuffs were cold, tight, and humiliating. I didn't fight. Not because I was guilty, but because fighting would have made me look exactly like what she was painting me to be. The officers led me outside. Rain soaked through my clothes, plastering my hair to my face. In the back of the patrol car, I caught a glimpse of her through the window of my apartment, calmly pouring herself a glass of wine, like she'd just won. At the station, they sat me in an interrogation room. A metal table, one flickering light, a camera in the corner, its red dot blinking like a silent threat. The lead detective slid a folder toward me. Inside were photos, my face on security camera stills, my fingerprints on a glass, my signature on a bank withdrawal slip. Want to explain this? He asked. My mind spun. Those weren't me. Not exactly. The woman in the pictures looked like me. Same hair, same eyes, but the smile was sharper almost. Practiced. Someone is using my identity, I said, my voice low. The detective leaned back, clearly unimpressed. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. She told us you'd say that. The door swung open, and standing there, holding a fresh coffee and wearing my jacket, was me. Chapter 10. The face in the doorway. She stepped in like she owned the air I was breathing. Same hair, same eyes, same smirk I only wore when I was hiding something. Except I wasn't hiding anything. The detective froze, his gaze flicking between us like a bad tennis match. Am I missing something? I'm the real one, she said smoothly, sliding into the chair opposite me. Her voice was my voice, only silkier, like she'd practiced sounding expensive. I stared at her, at me. That's my jacket, I said. She smiled my smile and ran her hands over the fabric. Oh, you mean our jacket? The detective cleared his throat. You're telling me you're both? She's lying, I blurted. She's been impersonating me. Funny, she cut in, because you've been impersonating me. She pulled out a phone. My phone. Unlocked it with her face. Every single photo, every contact, every embarrassing late-night text. Right there. The detective looked like he'd walked into a soap opera audition. Me. I was staring at the woman, the stranger, who could steal my life without breaking a sweat. And then she leaned forward, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. Tell me, detective, which one of us did you actually arrest? The detective didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a warrant with my name on it. But the signature at the bottom, It belonged to her. Chapter 11. The real target. The detective slid the warrant across the table. The paper felt heavier than it should. Name. Mine. Charges. Fraud, identity theft, corporate espionage. Signature. Hers. I don't even work in corporate, I snapped. I can barely keep my Netflix password straight. She's good. The woman my copy said with a pitying smile. She almost convinced me she wasn't involved. The detective sighed, rubbing his temples. You two could have at least come up with different stories. That's when I realized this wasn't about me being mistaken for her. It was about her making sure they never looked at her twice. She'd been running jobs under my name, using my face, and every breadcrumb she left behind led straight to me. I leaned in, matching her smirk. Who are you? Her eyes gleamed. I'm the life you could have had, if you weren't so boring. That stung, but it also told me everything. She'd been in my apartment. She'd answered my calls. She'd kissed my boyfriend. And now, she was about to walk away with my freedom. Except she made one mistake. The detective's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, then slid it toward me. On the screen was grainy security footage from last night. And in it, she was standing over a man's body, smiling. For the first time, her perfect composure cracked. Just a flicker, but I saw it. The detective locked eyes with her. I think, he said slowly, we've been arresting the wrong woman. And then, he turned to me. But I'm still not letting you walk out of here. Chapter 12, Endgame. The room went so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. The detective didn't blink. She didn't breathe. And me? I was already calculating. Not my escape, but her downfall. You've got it wrong, she purred. That's not me. But the footage didn't lie. Same coat, same hair, same little tilt of her chin when she thought she was winning. I leaned back in my chair. You should have stuck to ruining my life, I said. Murder's a little ambitious for you. The detective pushed a folder across the table. Inside, receipts, bank statements, emails, every piece of evidence she'd planted in my name, traced back to her. Why now? She hissed at me under her breath. Why not just stay quiet? Because, I whispered, if I go down, I'm taking you with me. She lunged, for me, for the evidence. I don't know. But the detective was faster. Within seconds, she was in cuffs, snarling like a wild thing. As they dragged her out, she glanced over her shoulder and smiled. This isn't over. Hours later, I stepped into the cool night air. Free, but not untouched. In my pocket was a single envelope the detective had slipped me before I left. Inside, a photo. It was me, standing over the same man's body, smiling. I don't remember being there, but maybe she wasn't lying when she said we were the same. Same blood. A week later, I got the call. The detective who arrested her was dead. Same AO. Same brutality. Only this time, the security cameras caught someone else. Me. Same coat. Same hair. Same tilt of the chin. And yet, I was in another city that night. I stared at the footage, my own smile staring back. Maybe she was right. Maybe she wasn't my enemy at all. Maybe she was my shadow. They caught her, but now they're hunting me. And that's another episode from Blessing's Storyverse. If this story hit you in the feels, leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Because trust me, the next plot twist is even crazier. Until next time, keep living like the main character. Bye.